TIL that the failed Superman film, which had cast Nicolas Cage, ending up costing Warner Brothers around $30 million. $20 million of that was paid to Nicolas Cage, his guarantee if the production halted. Glow WTF. He seems like one of the absolute last people I would pick or want to see play Superman. That photo of him in costume in the article is pure nightmare fuel. Also, is that $20 million guarantee thing normal with high-profile actors? I guess they do sometimes have to put a lot of work in before filming even starts, like Hemsworth's insane routine, so you'd wanna get paid for all that effort at least. The starting and stopping of various Superman projects leading into Superman Returns is actually the biggest reason Returns' budget was so crazy. It's almost a bit unfair because while Returns grossed a similar amount as Batman Begins, WB felt it was a failure given the budget. I think sequels to Returns would have fared a lot better, similar to how Nolan's Batman trilogy only grew. James Cameron got a $30 million play-or-pay contract to write and direct what would eventually become Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Because he's a son of a bitch, he intentionally threw together an unfilmable script, took the $30 million and ran. The script is online if you want to read it. Let's not lose sight of the fact that Jon Peters has no special vision or talent. He ended up a producer as because he was a hairdresser who became the boyfriend of a very powerful woman, Barbra Streisand. Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. That under the right circumstances, an actor could make more money with a flop than he could with a hit. Yes, it's quite possible if he were certain that the show would fail, a man could make a fortune. He makes an appearance in the 15-year anniversary remake of that ancient internet video The Ultimate Showdown. He kills all the other famous Nick Cage characters before being taken out by Fallout's final Pam, who looks at this balding, goofy, skinny mess of a man and thinks, that's the natural successor to Chris Reeve. The whole thing stinks of a contrived scam to funnel money from WB to the Coppola dynasty. Totally fair. Cage was an in-demand actor at the time, and him locking in that provision in the contract is totally justifiable considering he would have to forego other projects while filming was underway. Was anything actually filmed? If so, WB could release it digitally at $5 a pop and recoup most of that $30 million in a month or so. Don't deny it, you'd pay $5 to watch it and hoot like a drunken owl. Wasn't there some story also that the script for his Superman movie was turned into the Will Smith Wild Wild West movie? That's where the giant spider in WWW came from. Or so I recall hearing. Nicolas Cage is set to play Superman. No, finally the moody Superman we've always wanted. Finally we'll get to hear a Superman go on. No fucking way, really? Patton Oswalt. Alright, so they'll reference this in Sue, but God forbid they treat any of their CW shows as if they actually exist. Not that MCU was much better till the Disney shows. And it's in a budget of the next Superman movie. Studios routinely include development from unrealized projects into budgets of versions that actually come out. Tim Burton talked a little about this on Howard Stern. He didn't get super deep in the details, but well worth watching. I failed at work here and there, but never walked away with $20 million from it. Maybe one of these days if I keep failing diligently it'll happen. I was tinkering with one of those AI art apps a while back. This was one of the more successful prompts I got from it, and they counted that loss against Superman Returns, making the Ralph movie look like a failure even though it made the same money as Batman Begins. I think I would just retire if I got that much money. Buy a normal house. Live off of like $200K a year. It would be very comfortable and very easy. Somewhat of a tangent, but this reminds me of HBO paying James Gandolfini millions to not play Michael Scott on The Office after Steve Carell left. The switch in Cage's head got thrown by the IRS, which said pay us now, did so with a string of bad movies that paid the bills. Kevin Smith actually met the guy who was producing it, I'm pretty sure. It's hilarious, too. The man was at a point where people were paying him $20 million to do nothing and he still managed to go bankrupt. Critical Drinker has a funny video on this clusterfuck. Can we please all collectively try and Mandela Effect merge the reality where this movie was made with this one? Ironically, he did get to play Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies theatrical release. How weird would it be to have a Superman who looks like Loki and acts like Elvis? I mean, he looks evil. The documentary The Death of Superman Lives What Happened? Was a pretty cool story about the movie. Someone needs to alert the crash test dummies that Superman, in fact, did make money. And a lot of it. Dude was making $20 million to not make movies, and he still went broke. Talk about bad money management. He got $20 million for not working, and he still had to do those atrocious Left Behind films. Turns out that hiring Snyder wasn't WB's first major fuck-up when it came to the DC content. Lamau. Here is a doc about how everything fell apart. Dude was handed so much money back then and used it all on dinosaur bones and islands. Smiley face, smiley face. At least they officially showed him in the recent Flash movie. That was a hilarious cameo. Why didn't they just finish it then? Lots of money already being spent. Such a waste. Well, 20-some years later they got their money's worth when he showed up in the Flash. Boy, someone really wanted him to play Superman. Hopefully they were fired. What mortal man could see this production photo and not give the man $20 million? Looking at those suits, they should have named the movie Superman Boots Pants. And thank Bog, we, the general public, were spared and lived happily ever after. So he just got a cool $20 million for a movie that never even got past costumes? He would have made a terrible Superman lol, and I really like him in his movies. One of WB's more successful superhero movies going by recent track records. That's his rate. They have to give him the 20 mil even if he does a bad job. This really would have made stealing the Declaration of Independence easier. I'm sure his heart bleeds for starving actors on the picket line right now. That's exactly what it would look like if Randy James Dio played Superman. Then Cage lost that $20 million on real estate. The circle of life. That's his rate even if he does a bad job. Unprofessional bullshit. Tim Burton got 5 of that 30, so he didn't come out too bad either. Being Francis Ford Coppola's nephew is a fairly well-paying gig. That suit is so 90s that I'm not sure anything can out-90s it. Nick Cage's superpower is spending large amounts of money. It's a good thing they halted production on that baby. Man, I wish I could get paid $20 million to lose my job. Please mark this NSFW. I cannot unsee that image. 8. It's crazy his Flash cameo wasn't more talked about. A WB movie that only lost $20 million. What a success. He knew that a bald Superman wasn't going to work.